Most people are living on borrowed time, chasing goals they don't actually want, using methods that make them fragile. They want the peak, but they refuse the standards. Today, we stop the drift. We are moving beyond simple advice and into the brutal 8. These are not suggestions. They are the ancient Stoic standards for elite performance and unshakable discipline. If you are looking for a shortcut or a soft path, turn this off now. But if you are ready to rebuild your character into an inner citadel that nothing, not chaos, not judgment, not failure can touch, then listen closely. This is your blueprint for total self-mastery. Standard 1. The 4 a.m. rule. Discipline before dawn. 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man in the world, Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, sat in a cold tent on the Germanic frontier. He didn't want to get up. He wrote to himself in his journal, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. I am going to do what I was born for." Even the emperor felt the pull of the warm blankets. But he realized that to yield to comfort was to betray his nature. The modern failure or trap. We live in the snooze button culture. The modern world has taught you that the first act of your day should be a negotiation with your alarm clock, and by extension, a negotiation with your destiny. When you hit snooze, you are telling the universe that your dreams can wait, but your comfort cannot. You start your day in a state of reaction, immediately checking notifications, letting the world's chaos dictate your heart rate before you've even stood up. This is how you build a fragile mind. The brutal practical execution. The 4 a.m. rule isn't necessarily about the clock. It's about the blanket test. The zero negotiation window. When the alarm sounds, you have 5 seconds. In those 5 seconds, you do not think. You do not weigh the pros and cons of sleep. You move. The cold start. Before you touch your phone, before you taste coffee, you perform a task that requires effort. Whether it's 50 push-ups, a cold splash of water, or immediate deep work, you must win the first 60 seconds of the day. Own the silence. Between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m., the world is quiet. This is the only time you are truly free from the demands of others. If you cannot dominate this window, you will never dominate your life. Standard 2. Zero complaint policy. The sovereign mind. Epictetus, a man born into slavery who became one of history's greatest teachers, taught the dichotomy of control. He said, "Some things are up to us and some things are not up to us." To complain about things outside of your control is not just a waste of breath. It is a form of mental insanity. It is an admission that you are a victim of your circumstances. The modern failure or trap. We have become a society of venting. We believe that expressing our frustrations about the weather, the traffic, the economy, or our toxic boss is healthy. It isn't. It is a literal leak of power. Every time you complain, you are reinforcing the neural pathway that says, "I am not in control. External forces determine my happiness." This creates a leaky psyche where your energy drains away into the gutter of negativity. The brutal practical execution. Adopt the sovereign mind standard. The 24-hour silence. For the next 24 hours, you are forbidden from uttering a single complaint. Not about the rain, not about the cold, not about the person who cut you off in traffic. The pivot. If a problem arises, you have 2 choices. Fix it or accept it with total indifference. If you can't fix it, speaking about it is a violation of your code. Internal policing. Catch the mental complaint before it becomes spoken word. Recognize that your opinion of the event is what is hurting you, not the event itself. As Marcus Aurelius said, remove the judgment, and the "I am hurt" is removed. Standard 3. Radical accountability. The end of excuses. Seneca, the statesman and playwright, practiced a mental technique called the internal prosecutor. He believed that every night a man should stand trial before himself. He didn't look for excuses in the stars or the Senate. He looked for the flaw in his own judgment. The Stoics believed that while we cannot control what happens to us, we are 100% responsible for how we respond. The modern failure or trap. We live in an era of the out. There is always an out, a diagnosis, a systemic issue, a bad childhood, or bad luck. We have been conditioned to look for someone to blame so that we can feel better about our own stagnation. This emotional safety net is actually a cage. By avoiding blame, you forfeit your power to change the outcome. The brutal, practical execution. This is the mirror audit. Total ownership. From this moment forward, every failure in your life is your fault. Your business failed? You didn't adapt fast enough. Your relationship ended? You didn't lead or communicate effectively. You're out of shape? You prioritized the wrong things. The prosecution. Once a week, sit in a dark room with a notebook. Write down your failures for the week. Do not allow a single but or because of. Write, I failed because I was lazy, or I failed because I was afraid. The actionable penance. For every failure you own, assign yourself a corrective tax. If you missed a workout, the tax is 100 burpees. If you were short with your spouse, the tax is a focused hour of service. You must make it expensive to fail yourself. Standard 4. Force discomfort. Hardening the temple. The Stoic philosophy. Musonius Rufus, the teacher of Epictetus, argued that the body must be trained alongside the mind. He advocated for eating simple food, wearing thin clothing, and enduring heat and cold. He knew that a body that only knows comfort creates a mind that is easily intimidated. Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils not just in thought, but in physical reality. The modern failure or trap. Our lives are thermally regulated to a perfect 72 degrees. We have apps for every whim, chairs that support every curve, and food that is engineered for maximum pleasure. We have become soft humans. When a real crisis hits a financial collapse, a health scare, a loss, we shatter because we have never built the calluses required for existence. We are living in a golden cage of convenience. The brutal practical execution. You must harden the temple daily. The cold requirement. Every shower must end with at least 3 minutes of freezing water. Do not flinch. Do not pant. Control your breath. This is you telling your nervous system that you are the boss, not your comfort. Voluntary poverty. Once a month, eat only the simplest, cheapest food for 3 days. Realize that your happiness does not depend on fine dining. The physical toll. Once a week, push your body to the point of genuine wanting to quit. Whether it's a long ruck, a heavy lift, or a grueling run, stay in that dark place and learn to be comfortable there. Standard 5. Monk mode focus, cognitive domination. The Stoics spoke of the inner citadel, a fortress of the mind, where one can retreat to find clarity and peace. Marcus Aurelius noted that people try to retreat to the country or the beach, but you can find a retreat within yourself at any moment. In ancient times, this meant ignoring the noise of the forum. Today, it means something far more radical. The modern failure or trap. We are currently in a war for attention. Your focus is being harvested by billion-dollar algorithms designed to keep you scrolling, reacting, and consuming. The modern human can barely sit for 10 minutes without reaching for a hit of dopamine from their phone. This fragmented mind is incapable of elite performance. If you cannot control your attention, you are a puppet. The brutal practical execution. Establish digital dark hours. The 90-minute block. For the first 90 minutes of your workday, your phone is in another room. No music with lyrics. No internet tabs open that aren't essential. This is monk mode. You produce, you do not consume. The notification purge. Turn off all non-human notifications. If it's not a direct call or text from a real person, Your phone should not vibrate. The Deep Work Standard. Measure your value by the hours of uninterrupted focus you achieve, not the number of emails you answer. 1 hour of deep work is worth 10 hours of busyness. Standard 6. Memento Mori, the urgency of action. You could leave life right now, Marcus Aurelius wrote. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Memento Mori, remember you must die. This wasn't a morbid obsession for the Stoics. It was a tool for clarity. Death is the ultimate filter. It strips away the trivial and leaves only the essential. The modern failure or trap. We live as if we are immortal. We push our real life off to a future that may never come. We spend hours arguing with strangers online, worrying about celebrities, or watching content that adds zero value to our souls. We treat time as if it's an infinite resource, when in reality, it is the only thing we are constantly losing and can never get back. The brutal practical execution. Use death as a filter. The tonight test. At any given moment, ask yourself, if I were to die tonight, would I be proud of what I'm doing right now? If the answer is no, stop doing it immediately. The funeral visualization. Once a week, spend 5 minutes imagining your own funeral. Who is there? What are they saying about your character? Are they talking about your achievements or the way you stood for virtue? The urgent priority. Eliminate one-time vampire from your life today. A game, a social media app, or a toxic habit. Replace it with a legacy action, something that builds your character or your empire. Standard 7. Selective indifference, social resilience. The Stoics called it adiaphora indifferent things. Public opinion, reputation, and the praise of others were all classified as indifference. Why? Because you cannot control them. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If you are anchored to the opinions of others, you are their slave. The modern failure or trap. We are drowning in social feedback loops. We check the likes, the comments, and the views. We edit our personalities to fit the current trend. We are terrified of being canceled or judged by people we don't even like. This social anxiety causes us to play small, to stay quiet, and to blend into the gray mass of mediocrity. The brutal practical execution. Practice social ghosting. The audience of one. Your only judge is your own conscience. Before you make a decision, ask, is this virtuous? Not, will this be liked? Intentional foolishness. Practice being misunderstood. Do not explain yourself to people who don't matter. If someone has a wrong opinion of you, let them keep it. It is their burden, not yours. Filter the noise. Drastically reduce your consumption of news and social commentary. Most of it is designed to trigger your outrage and approval circuits. Anchor yourself in books that have lasted 100 years, not tweets that won't last 100 minutes. Standard 8. The Evening Autopsy, the Stoic Review. Seneca described his nightly ritual. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. This is the game film of the Stoic. You cannot improve what you do not measure. The modern failure, or trap. Most people end their day by zoning out. They watch Netflix or scroll until their eyes close, falling into a reactive sleep. They wake up the next day and repeat the same mistakes because they never took the time to analyze their performance. They are like a sports team that plays 82 games a year but never watches the footage of their losses. The brutal practical execution. The evening autopsy is a non-negotiable 5-minute ritual. Before you sleep, answer these 3 questions in a journal. What did I do well today? Identify the moments you stood by your standards. Where did I fail? Be the internal prosecutor. Where were you weak, angry, or lazy? What will I do better tomorrow? Set the standard for the coming dawn. Conclusion. Knowledge without action is just another form of entertainment. If you've listened to this and you do nothing, you have wasted your time. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be disciplined. Pick one of these 8 standards, just one, and commit to it for the next 24 hours. Whether it's the 4 a.m. rule, the zero complaint policy, or the evening autopsy, make it your primary objective. Write which one you've chosen in the comments below. Let it be your public contract. When you put it in writing, you move from trying to committing. If this helped you find clarity in the chaos, subscribe to join this community of modern Stoics. We are rebuilding the inner citadel, one brick at a time. Stay virtuous. Stay unshakable.